Hi, this is attorney Mark Mandell with the law firm of Fausone, Bohn, located in Northville, Michigan. I've been practicing for over 20 years and cover cases all over the state of Michigan with a high volume here in the Tri-County area of Detroit. With that said, today I want to focus on the Secretary of State, and more specifically the Driver's License Appeal Division. And when it comes to drunk driving, I'm going to give a couple scenarios that you may have to request a hearing before the Driver's License Appeal Division to get your license back. If your license has been suspended for over a year as a result of drinking and driving, which often most likely would be as a result of a second offense within 7 years of a drunk driving, and that's notwithstanding super drunk driving or an impaired or an intoxicated, but if you get 2 drunk drivings within 7 years, your license will be suspended for a year and will require a hearing to even get restricted privileges. Another scenario would be 3 drunk drivings now in a lifetime. It used to be 10 years, but 3 drunk drivings, specifically within 10 years, your license will be revoked and you won't even be eligible to request it for some time. Now, with that said, if in fact you do have the opportunity and a right to go to the Driver's License Appeal Division requesting getting your license back, there are many tricks to this process, and it is a very tricky process. The Secretary of State, through administrative rules, mandates specific requirements that have to be met on documentation that you have to submit for your hearing. And here's a couple of them. One, you need documentation of a specific period of sobriety. 2, you need at least 3 letters, at least 3, with numerous requirements in those letters. If those letters don't meet the requirements of the Secretary of State, they don't count. When I'm representing people, I usually have them submit at least 5 or 6. So if in fact you only submitted 3 letters and one of the letters didn't meet the requirements, you may never know that until you get to the hearing, and then come to find out if you didn't meet that requirement, you're not going to get your license back. Another requirement is a substance abuse evaluation that has to be filled out by a credible medical profession, therapist, substance abuse advisor, many titles, right? But that has to be filled out. It has to be filled out specifically. Every question has to be answered, and everything in that substance abuse evaluation has to also mirror where it was put in the letters to make sure that there's no credibility issues or conflicts. If the substance abuse evaluation, by way of example, has different dates of when you were arrested and or convicted of the drunk driving as opposed to the letters, then the substance abuse evaluation may be found to not have credibility. And if the substance abuse evaluation is not seen to be credible, that's just another strike against you, and you're not going to get your driving privileges. There's also some forms that are required to be filled out, and if those forms don't correlate and specifically match what's in the substance abuse evaluation and the letters, all right, you're going to get flopped also. So what's happened so often over the 20 years that I've been doing this, I've been to every Secretary of State office pretty much south of Flint handling these cases. Often I will have clients that come to me when they did not get their license, and I will review the documentation that they submitted, and unfortunately before they even went into their Secretary of State for the hearing, they were not going to get their license because the documentation did not comply with the requirements of the Secretary of State. The last part about it is the hearing, and the questions are extremely tough. The hearing officers are doing their job, but they're going to make sure inside out that you have not been consuming alcohol, that any alcohol issues are in remission, that your letters are credible, that your substance abuse evaluation is credible, that the form you filled out is credible, and they're going to come at you. I mean, I've seen questions where I've seen the hearing officer ask somebody who had been completely sober for over 2 years, if I recall in this case, and asked, do you take communion at your church? And he said yes. He's like, well, there's alcohol in that. And he was flopped for admitting this tough as it seems to be, that he had consumed alcohol. Another tough question they'll also ask is, people go in there and say, well, I don't drink beer anymore, and I drink non-alcohol beer. Well, the truth is, there's a small alcohol content, albeit minimum, in non-alcoholic beer, and they'll flop you for that. So there are so many questions that are designed to be tough on you, to make sure that you've had absolute zero alcohol over a certain period of time, that I do highly recommend that you hire an attorney. I do the driver's license appeal divisions. I do not charge for consultations. Again, you can go to FB-firm, find any information about me that you're interested in, and contact me. You know, sometimes people, when I'm out and about, if they have a traffic ticket, will say, like, hey, do I really need a lawyer? And sometimes, depending on the traffic ticket, if it's 5 over, maybe you don't. You can go in and work out a deal with the prosecutor. But when it comes to getting your license back as it relates to an alcohol suspension, I would never go in there without an attorney. Thank you very much.